look at this beautiful apple cider brittle. Have you ever seen anything like it? Delicious and crunchy, it just don't get any better than that. So we made some delicious apple cider cookies over in the freeze dryer, but how about some cider brittle over in the dehydrator? You know we got to start with the cottage cheese. This is important for texture, protein, and to keep this overall low calorie. 300 grams. For my spices, I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and a half a teaspoon of cloves. 4 tablespoons of sweetener. I think any granulated or powdered sweetener will work fine for this recipe. Obviously, we need some cider, so I'm gonna add 700 grams. Finally, to make all this work, the secret ingredient, low sugar pectin, 12 grams. This is gonna be enough for 2 leather trays in my smallest dehydrator. I like to pour in some batter first, then level it out, then grab some of them apple chips I recently dehydrated and sprinkle in a nice thick coating of them right on top. And finally, I'll top it off, getting this tray as full as I can possibly get it. I don't think this would work with fresh apples because as they dehydrate, they would shrink so much. There's a possibility that could compromise the brittle, but I sure know how we can find out. So I'll dice up some apples and sprinkle them on my second tray. I use my 1/4-inch blade and my dicer, creating the smallest pieces as possible. That way, hopefully they'll dehydrate in the same amount of time that my batter does. For my temp, I'm going with 135, and for time, I'm going with 14 hours. I'm gonna let them run this cycle out overnight and then let them rest and cool for 2 to 3 hours. So I ran the ones with the chips exactly like I said I was, and I ran the ones with the diced apples the extra 3 hours. The diced apples are still not done, and we'll talk a little more about those in just a minute. But check this out. Look at this beautiful apple cider brittle. Have you ever seen anything like it? It breaks apart nicely, but it can still hold together for those very large sized pieces. I mean, that's pretty cool, honestly. The diced apples just had so much moisture. They still have a decent ways to go. It's definitely plausible. I feel like in a few more hours they'll be ready. Right now the brittle is crunchy, however the apples are still a little gooey, but it does make for an interesting texture if that's something you're into. But for me personally, I'm just stick to using the dehydrated apple chips. But okay, let's try this brittle out. Could you hear that crunch? I mean, come on. Delicious and crunchy, it just don't get any better than that. I just think that the flavor is truly amazing. If you like anything apple cider or even apple pie, you will find these to be very delicious. This brittle has good nutritional value. It's low in sugar because I use stevia, and it actually has a fair amount of protein. It's pretty difficult to come across healthy, low-calorie protein snacks unless you make them at home yourself. So if you own a dehydrator, you have got to give this brittle a try.